Welcome everyone to CMTC's webinar series. My name is Gabby Richard Harrington and I will be your moderator for today. A bit of housekeeping. The session is being recorded. The recording will be posted on CMTC 19's YouTube channel. You may share this link with friends and colleagues. Everybody is welcome to view it. If you would like a certificate of participation, you can write to Kimra at nhsaa.org, is in the chat. Post your questions in the chat and we will feed questions to the presenter. With that, the housekeeping is over. Today is February 20th, 2020, and we're very happy to welcome Bob Chappell from ClassLink. And he will tell us all about the product and all about himself. Take it away, Bob.
Thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it. Really want to dive in and just kind of go through what ClassLink offers and give everybody a very high-level overview of all the pieces and components. A lot has changed in the last, I would say, year and a half, 2 years with us. I'm Bob Chappell. I'm the VP of Instructional Technology. I've been with ClassLink for 3 years. I'm a former administrator. I worked at a BOCES in New York State, but I've been in the ed tech, training, PD, and sales kind of field for the last 25 years. So worked for many companies and did PD and training around use of technology in districts. I really want to dive in here, and we're going to talk about a lot of pieces and components that ClassLink offers and kind of tell the story of how a district that implements all the pieces can manage account creation to access to resources and materials, and also touch on some privacy and security related things. So just to put some context to this, we lose lots of instructional time because most people know ClassLink around single sign-on. We offer a lot more than that. You're going to see that. But we lose a lot of instructional time logging in and managing passwords, and then kids go home and they can't get into their digital textbooks or their library resources. And I like to show these because teachers and students are very creative, especially in the elementary level, and we have some security concerns with having credentials being on Post-it notes or in books and desk drawers or on an Excel spreadsheet that's not protected. So it is nice to have a secure portal for everything, especially for those little kids. And sometimes I get some tech people or adults who go, oh, our high schoolers don't have struggle, or our students don't. Our staff don't. And I like to show this because I've worked for some very large tech ed companies, and I always struggled with all the places we had to go to log in and manage resources and tools. So this is something that happened a couple years ago, the missile attack that went on the emergency management system out of Hawaii. It wasn't really happening, and what we found out later on was some curious things. The governor didn't understand or didn't know his Twitter password, so he couldn't post almost for 30 minutes that it was not a real missile attack. And then what came out in the news was the Post-it note blown up here, the emergency management system password was on a Post-it note on one of the machines. So security, risks, access, and being able to log in. Our challenges, especially in K-12, was we add new devices, tools, resources, BYOD, one-to-one, those related things. So this is a slide that kind of talks about all the pieces that ClassLink offers. One of the components that we'll address right out of the gate is single sign-on, logging in and having on any device all of the resources that are relevant to you at your fingertips, where all you need to do is click it, just like you basically do on your phone. Your phone is very similar experience, being able to access everything at your fingertips. So we'll take a quick look at that. The analytics piece has gained a lot of importance because districts have to make purchasing decisions, where to put PD. Maybe they're overpaying for license. Maybe they're rolling out a core curricular tool and they want to monitor, are we doing our part with how much time we're using it, how often? Those are all things that can be set within the analytics. The technical piece, so this is really teaching and learning and access. This is managing our resource purchases in PD and doing some analysis. The technical piece over here, the box called technology, is about account creation. One is rostering. So ClassLink actually rosters a lot of the digital materials that you might use. So in the single sign-on portal, you'll have a bunch of things that you don't have to create accounts for, but a number of those resources you'll have to roster, like iReady and Houghton Mifflin and Pearson Tools and IXL Math and whatever you may be using with your students and staff. So that is creating digital accounts rostering. The newest piece of ClassLink is OneSync, and that is digital provisioning of accounts to Active Directory, Google, Azure Office 365. So we will briefly touch on these and probably talk about the public portal. It's very important in states like where I live in New York, where districts have to be transparent in what they're using and whether they're sharing student data with their community. So let's kind of jump in. The story I'm going to tell is if a district has implemented all the pieces, a student staff person might be put into the primary green source. OneSync, which is our newest piece, will create their AD, Google, or Azure account, two of the three, one of the three, maybe all three. They'll have a Launchpad single sign-on environment that's reflected in this kind of laptop or Chromebook. They'll roster automatically those resources that need accounts to be created, and you'll have the analytics. So from a security standpoint, this is great because what happens when they become inactive in the source? They lose access to everything because OneSync reads that and removes their access to AD, Google, and Azure. So lots of good reasons behind security and access digital learning that we'll explore. I'm going to talk briefly about methods for logging in. There are lots of ways to log into the portal, we'll call it, your one-click environment, Launchpad. You can log in with quick cards. These are used by the little kids. You lose some security, but K-12, very popular because the kids come in, the teacher, they get their card from the card catalog or whatever from the teacher. They swipe that in any camera-enabled device and they're into their learning environment. You can also have them log in with AD, Google, SAML, two-factor for your admins, and one of the benefits is password reset if you're an AD environment. So we'll actually look at some of these methods. Facial nodal points is one method. I'm not a huge fan of that, but kids with special mobility-related issues, that is often used. You get to choose what users can access and how they log in, and it may change. So you may say K-12, they can use the quick cards, everybody else signs it with AD or Google or some other method. We can create any single sign-on. That's what sets ClassLink apart. And if we didn't create one already and it's new to us, within a day or two we'll create it and make it available for a district. So it doesn't happen often, but sometimes we run into some new tools. This is, so let's log in and kind of look at single sign-on access, teaching, and learning. This is our login environment. You see the spring, winter theme here. I'm in New York, you're in New Hampshire. Hopefully we're going to see this more quickly than more of this. So you can see I can log in with all sorts of different methods because in our demo environment, we basically show every method of potential logging in. But if you're in this district, Atlanta Public Schools, you log in with your quick card, Google. If you're in this district here, they only log in with SAML credentials. In this district right here, as another example, network, Google, or quick card. So maybe their K-12 kids use the quick card, everybody else can log in with other credentials. Maybe staff does the network login, and students use Google. So these are all things we determine with you. I'm going to actually show a little video here. I like to show no sound, but this is an example of how we can, with the quick card, log into the device, this Chromebook, and into the ClassLink, or whatever you're calling it, the portal, and access that resource. This is great for the little kids, right? One step for everything with that little quick card. I'm going to show you, right now I'm going to show you how we can log in with Google. So I click on, I have two accounts. I have my work account. I have a single sign-on portal, and then obviously we have our demo, for better use of a word, presentation account. And you know, I log in, I'm a teacher, I see, oh, early dismissal today, and also don't forget end of grade marking periods. I need to submit my grades. And if I'm a teacher or student, these icons will change depending on who I am. So if I log in and I'm not using iReady, it wouldn't be here. So these icons are pushed down by the district based on your organizational group or profile. And if I want to get into iReady, I can click it and I'm into that resource and tool. The barriers to getting into Castle Learning or iReady or any of the resources and tools you're using are removed, so more time learning, less time trying to corral all the kids into the right location or place.
I have a question from the audience. Is it self-healing?
Sure.
Can a student delete something and it comes back on next time they log in? How does that work?
You mean an icon?
Yeah.
A tool?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yep. So anything that's locked is pushed down by the district, so they cannot delete that, staff nor students. They could move it into a folder. They have all these things that they can do and reorganize and change the font and the size and the color of their environment. But things that are pushed down by the district cannot be removed, because the intent is you bought it, you support it, they should know that it's available to them. Now, in the context of this, for example, this is a locked library folder, so there's an example of a folder, and Google Suite, and also staff resources. So think of anything web-based is, I guess, what I'm pointing out here. And these are locked. Now, if I want to, I have the ability to go to the library, and the district can leave our whole library open. And if they want to grab something, if they can type properly, that keyboarding class paid off in high school, they can add or remove that resource. So if I want to add something, it's available in my workspace now. They can remove what they've added. Now, in reference to this library, you can leave our whole app library open. In many states, there is a move away from that, and what the district is saying, turn that off, and what they're doing is creating library tabs for users to grab what's approved. So, Gabby, that question was, here's the core, locked, can't remove, but anything they grab from the library, they can grab, and then if they use that graphing calculator for 3 weeks and want to remove it, they can remove that from their portal. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yep.
So this is what teaching and learning looks like in the districts that use our solution. One place, I'm at home, I'm at school, I can get access to the library resources so that I'm not using Wikipedia or other things to do reports. Everything's there. And remember, everything that's being used is we're capturing the data behind that, which I'll show you in a minute. The other thing that a lot of districts like is, hey, listen, they want to be able to grab something from the network remotely. So I'm at home and I need to grab a budget document. So if you're using network drives or you're using Dropbox or Google, or you're using OneDrive, Office, or Box. So we can connect in one place any of these cloud or network storage, and anywhere that I log in, I can open documents up. Office Online is included by us. So if I want to open this document up here, space exploration, make edits and changes on a Chromebook or at Grandma's house, no worries. The thing that I like most about this, because you can copy and upload and paste, is you can move documents between environments if you want, or the thing that I use at work all the time when I have to find something, because we use cloud storage and we use network drives, is being able to search everywhere for that keyword document. So I'm searching for all the documents connected. So again, PowerPoints, pacing guides, network folders, whatever you want to connect. And these are all your choice. So districts use this or don't use it, connect network drives or don't. But the idea is that all your teaching and learning is here, and all your files and documents are there as well, one place. So that is kind of the first piece. I like to go back, being a visual learner, and say this is what we looked at first, kind of student, teacher, bus driver experience, principal, admin. This analytics piece, which we'll look at, is for those that have the rights. So I'm going to go over to the admin side, because I want to take a quick look at all the pieces. So we're going to do very high level. And because I logged in as an admin, I am the curriculum director, assistant soup, tech director. I have the ability to look at the analytics. You can permission these out, but what the analytics capture is a great deal. Very macro, very micro. So the first thing is it's a dashboard view. So at any point in time, I can see how many people logged in over the month. I can create reports. I can filter and say, let me see how many people logged in from this middle school or these groups of teachers only at the elementary level, run reports. And I can, at any point in time, see what the top apps I'm using are. So I can make some of them favorites. I can look at schools and compare schools. So, and again, I'm showing you just examples of how the data can be used. So if I want to compare just 4 schools, I show this as an example because vertically what it's showing me is the application use. And if this is a core math program, 100,000 logins, 117,000. This is a real live district, very large one. So makes 68,000. That is a concern if I was looking at this. Why is this middle school logging in 1/3 the top 2 other districts? And are the math scores at this high school, I'm sorry, different? If I want to look at an individual user, I can search for an individual user. So if I push out a pilot and then the teachers are coming in, we're going to talk about it, I can look to see how often they use that. I would say from an administrative point of view, being a former administrator where we made purchases, the newest piece that is included here is the ability for you to look at the costs associated. So if you actually put some simple data in, like, hey, we paid this much, we have this many license agreements, it will show me how many users, what's the cost per user, the real cost, because if half the people are using it, then the cost is more than what you paid for it per user, it's double. And you can make those decisions around purchases and cost expenditures, and many times it's, hey, we got to put some more PD into this. You know, this is a core Pearson math program that we're not really using to the level.
Well, we've got
also a new, go ahead.
2 questions. One is,
sure.
If a product has a specified, you know, if you use this 25 minutes a day, 5 days a week, we guarantee whatever results. Is there a way to put that factor in as well? Are we using it 25 minutes a day per kid?
That's so funny because that's what I was going to. It's one of the newer pieces along with the cost is you can actually go to the app and you can set criteria like we should use it this often. And you wouldn't do this for all of your applications, but you would do it for those ones that are core where the vendor goes, use it this much, and here's the results you should see. So how do you monitor whether the district or their schools are doing their part? So that's a new piece of the analytics. Lots of new pieces coming out all the time with this. Good question. Was there another question?
The other question is about compliance with student data privacy. NHHG 1612, is it on the approved list for like the New Hampshire House bill on student data privacy?
It is, and I'm also going to switch over and talk about rostering and talk about some data concerns that districts might want to consider as well.
You're ready for that. Thank you.
Yep, good. No, that's good. I feel like you're segueing me. The questions here are kind of segueing into some other pieces, so it's a good natural flow. So let's talk about data because data sharing. So ClassLink is compliant. ClassLink does rostering of resources as well. So let's go over and let's talk about rostering in general. So in a lot of districts, they're taking data from PowerSchool or eSchool data or Aspen or Infinite Campus, whatever it may be, and that data is coming over and it's going to the blue vendor, and sometimes the district pushes an SFTP to different vendors and they have to set up different jobs, and then maybe there's a purple vendor and now we've added a green vendor. So the rostering has become quite a challenge for districts, and how they're sharing and sending files over is a challenge. Some districts may be using Clever for 1 or 2 resources. ClassLink takes a different approach. So in 2015, a group of large districts got the large vendors together because they have the poll and said, there's got to be a better way to do this. And they created an open standard called OneRoster. There's 200 plus vendors that adhere to this. And ClassLink was part of the people sitting at the table and helped write the specs in regards to this. And what we decided at the time was there has to be a tool to do that, and that data needs to sit by itself. So there are other providers out there that will commingle your school district's data, which is not copacetic to a lot of the state privacy laws. ClassLink provides a roster server, which I'm going to show you in 1 second. And that roster server is only your data, and you can push out the data to those vendors how you want. So why send the whole one roster bucket to a vendor if you only want a roster for 29 special ed students that need this resource, or only K through 5 for that resource? So this roster server, typically we work with you, again, it's your data sits alone, no commingling of data. We connect to your student information system, and then what you do is that data gets imported. So the one roster bucket is this blue bucket of data, and this is very high level. And what the districts will do is they will decide which resources they want to roster with us, ClassLink, in our roster server. You can do one, you can do all of them. You can maintain rostering in different ways if you want to. If your math department rosters and you don't want to mess with Beth in the math department, she's been doing it her way, not going to do that fight. But typically what happens is you add your resources, so you build your list that you want to roster to. And if I added Achieve 3000 as a tool, then the roster server tool, and you work with our people, we have people that project manage with each district, and you say, everybody gets permissions, or send it over, don't send this data, and I want it to go to these schools. So maybe it only goes to your middle schools, or maybe you're going to do a query, but basically you're going to determine where it's going to go. So it can go to all, or maybe it goes to 2 middle schools or just the elementary school, and you determine what classes it goes for. So if I hit and I just do a query, or I just want to do a simple search and figure out what math courses, we also use it in 5th. You choose. Now, you can go to more granular levels. You can push down to individual users and roles, so you have all this flexibility. But what happens is when you set that up and you go live, what is happening is eSchool is coming over. It's bringing the one roster bucket. It is pushing that out to Achieve 3000. In this case, it's going over because it says REST API if you provide the key and code to the vendor. If that vendor didn't create an API yet, or just hasn't gone in that direction, you can still set up an SFTP. Now, key things with this, and in New York, we have very strict privacy security laws. What New York districts like is, A, this is data sitting alone. B, I have complete control of how much I want to push over to each vendor. And at any point in time, if I'm audited or asked, I have an audit log of everything that was done. And this is something that is required in my state where I live. You can, at any point in time, upon request or via an audit, you can see exactly what you shared with each vendor. There's a downloadable report and what you shared data-wise to the field level. So that's what the roster server does. And again, you can use and bring in as many resources as you want, or do a mixed modality. If you don't want to add all to the roster server, that is the roster piece. Again, we're taking a very high level view, so let's go back. Being a visual learner, let's talk about OneSync, and then we'll discuss these briefly and then kind of open it up and do any final questions. So the newest piece, which is, I think, a year and a half, probably maybe almost 2 years. Let me think, year and a half, yeah. The beginning of school last year, roster server or OneSync was rolled out. And the reason it was rolled out is because our client base said, we love that we can have a single sign-on portal and roster and have analytics. The problem that we have is the step before that. We have to manually create our AD Google accounts, or somebody wrote a script in district and that person's going to leave the district or retire, or it works great for creating the accounts, but it never makes people inactive. So we have people in AD and Google that shouldn't be there because nobody ever removed them when they, left the district or, went on leave, whatever it may be. So OneSync was designed, the idea behind OneSync is you can pull from any source, and we work with you again. Everything is project managed with live people, and we write and map the data. So if you're pulling from PowerSchool, as an example, it will come into OneSync, and if you're a district that wants to write to AD and Google, it will. If you only wanted to write to AD because you have a sync working, and that is how you want to keep it, then it will write to AD only. Now, the backward arrows represent a couple of things. One is it correlates, so it doesn't wipe out AD out of the gate. The other is it will make people inactive. So if I'm working in a district and I find out that somebody's on administrative leave or a student left the district or they're going to be out long-term for whatever reason, I may make them inactive in the student system. So OneSync reads that, pulls them back. It doesn't delete them, but it makes them inactive into an inactive group. That is the whole purpose of OneSync, is to automate the process. So legitimately, you can keep your provisioned directory accounts in order, clean, accurate, great for security. What I go back to as teaching and learning is that if we go back to this slide here, literally a student can be entered and automatically have one place to log in for everything and have their email and their directory accounts and staff or students. So provides one step for everything in an automated process. I'll touch on these briefly. There is a parent portal. The parent portal is a piece. These are all part and parcel of ClassLink, support, training, all the components that I show here. You choose what you want to roll out. The parent portal is, hey, wouldn't it be nice if parents logged into one place and they saw the icons, how to look at their student grades in PowerSchool and Naviance and put money in their lunch account, change their cell phone number on the mass alert system. So it's a portal for parents. This public portal, big in my state again, because they are required in my state to make transparent what is being used in district. So this is what the public portal looks like. It can have different visuals or setups, but what happens is this is a link they put on their website, and it shows everything that's being used in the district with these nice icons because we have these. It says whether you're using this for single sign-on or you're sharing student data. And what is required in my state is the data sharing agreement that the vendor has signed can be uploaded or linked. And we, ClassLink, have done the grunt work to put in the public privacy in terms of service. So at any point in time, a family or somebody in the community can see what is being used. Now, what's great is if you stop using something like code.org, it wouldn't be here if it's turned off in the back end of ClassLink. And if you roll out BrainPop, then BrainPop is here. So this is not rocket science, but a lot of districts are keeping Google Sheets and other things. It's very time consuming. And then they're putting links to the privacy terms of service, and it's a lot of just manual kind of work. Those are the pieces of ClassLink.
Question.
Lots of components. Yep.
So if a school district is using Google Classroom and the parent has access to the student's Google Classroom, they can come through ClassLink portal and do all the things that they would do if they went directly into the Google Classroom parent.
If you roll out the parent portal and you push out access for parents to Google Classroom and the other components, yes.
Okay. And the other question
I will
is
go ahead.
Filtering. So if I'm working at school, clearly the school's filtering is in place. If I'm working at home or grandma's house, does ClassLink take care of that, or is that separate?
Nope, that's separate. Whatever filtering is in place works.
Okay, thank you.
Here's our contact information. You can email or contact either Gail or I. If you're interested, we do web meetings all the time, so if you or somebody in the district wants others to see this, it's a great opportunity to see what ClassLink has to offer. And again, all of this is included, including training support. We project manage this, so you will be assigned a real live person. I know it's unusual, but you will be assigned a person if you come to work with us and partner with us, and that person will work with you and you'll meet with them regularly, roll this out. We do user groups. We just did one in Andover yesterday, Massachusetts, and we had some New Hampshire districts come down and join us. So we do regional user groups. Any other burning questions? Hopefully this was a good overview, good start.
I'm not seeing any other questions, although if you're in the audience and you have any, please do post them. In the meantime, we would like to thank Bob and ClassLink for presenting today. A reminder that this video recording will be posted on CMTC 19's YouTube channel. Bob and Gail's email links are up here on the screen. You should write those down. You don't want to wait for the recording. And again, Kimra, KYMRA@nhsaa.org is the email address to use if you would like a participation certificate. And I will quickly switch over to a different set of slides. Again, today was ClassLink. We thank you for attending. The webinar is recorded. I said that already. Feel free to share that link with colleagues. Very, very important. And then also a very quick list of the next 4 webinars that CMTC is presenting for you.
Thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it.
So we thank you very much, and we will talk to you soon.